Please check out the April tapes on YouTube and follow the links down below for more. I hate it when it's raining. I'm always driving, so it isn't the rain itself that gets under my skin, rather what the rain does to people. Days could go by as I sit waiting for one job to come through, but as soon as it starts raining, I get one request after the other. Sure, it's good for business, but something about the rain, the gloom of overhanging gray cloud, and the blanket of white noise just makes people snap. These people could be harboring darker thoughts for months at a time, but when the rain starts to fall, it's like they take it as a sign from the universe that their desires are justified. To get you up to speed, I work for a rideshare service. Or rather, I own a rideshare service that's a little off the books. There are a myriad of terrible people in this world, and I am among them, most certainly, but I saw an untapped market and figured I could make a quick buck off of it. Alright, look, say you're out with your friends, right? You all drove to the bar together, and you were supposed to be the designated driver, but your constant failed attempts to pick up a grade A dame eventually landed a bottle in your hand, and then another, and all of a sudden, uh-oh, you're so drunk that you can't tell if you're drooling or you just forgot to swallow the water. You should definitely be drinking. What do? Well, hopefully you, or more likely one of your friends, has the wits about them to call a service like Uber or Lyft to carry you and your barely functioning bodies home. With your head pounding, you can head back the next day and get your car. No one gets hurt. You might have danced a little too much with a cardboard cutout of Jack Daniels, but no harm, no foul. But consider this. You're out with your friends. You're the designated driver again, but a pretty lady from across the bar is giving you the eye. Oh, you lucky dog, you. You begin chatting, and she offers to buy you a drink. You decline, explaining you must assist your friends home. She laughs. Oh, what a gentleman you are. Then, to your sober surprise, she asks if you would like to go to her place where the drinks were free. I know you're getting excited, but remember this is just a fantasy. But let me continue. I promise I'm going somewhere with this. So, you drive your friends home. They're falling all over themselves in the backseat of your car, and yeah, Aaron just threw up. Yep, cool, awesome, great. But you don't care, you've got plans. Finally, you arrive at her place, and by God, it is a nice house. You can't believe your eyes as she welcomes you inside and pours you shot after shot. By now, your blood is nearly 100% vodka, as she leads you into the kitchen. Her smile is intoxicating. You don't even notice the floor is making a crinkling noise, each step ruffling the plastic beneath you. So much plastic covering the floor and the countertops. You barely have time to think, not that you could in that state anyway. Your body is numb and your reactions are slow. Hell, it's almost a mercy at how much she gave you to drink. Because the knife in your stomach is hot, but it doesn't hurt. The heat retreats and returns over and over. You fall to the floor, your strength is non-existent. You lucky, stupid dog, you. All you can do is watch an ever-increasing pool of red swimming over the clear plastic. She stands over you as your body drains of color and you become nothing but dead weight. That dark, terrible part of her is satisfied for the night, but oh well, whatever will she do with your body? She needs to get that body out of her house and bury it far away. Well, she can't take her car, and what if she needs help with the body? You can't exactly call an Uber or Lyft. I mean, you can. Or, well, you could, but I'd highly advise against it. But anyway, you would call me. Those who need to know the name of the app already know it. Those who will need to know the name of the app will come across it when the time is right. Anyway, I hope my example was clear enough. I'm essentially an Uber for serial killers. Well, serial killers, drug dealers, and pretty much any manner of dark people all alike. The price is pretty high, but a pretty penny is much more appealing than a dusty set of iron bars, right? Anyway, I've transported all manner of things, and sure, I have some pretty incredible stories to tell. The backseat of the car I use has seen everything from a duffel bag of blood money to a very intricate set of severed heads. Something about a D&D game that got a little too realistic. Anyway, if you've ever heard other stories about the bizarre phantoms of the night or hilariously mental people that always seem to just vanish into the night, well, I'm typically the one behind the headlights whisking them away. If you got the cash, I got you. Simple as that. I can't say I'm really ever afraid. People and things hire me because I present a means of convenience for them. If anything, I'm the safest person in the world for these broken creatures. It's the rain I can't stand. I don't get scared, but I do get annoyed. Because when it rains, people just snap. Lots of first-time killers panicking and just doing everything they can to make my job difficult. I guess that's what you get in the customer service industry. Huh. I could tell watching out the rain-streaked windows of my car it was going to be one of those kind of nights. Some twig of a figure pulling a large black trash bag behind him, just dragging it across the sidewalk. Like, for God's sakes, do you want me to just call the cops now and we can get this over with? But no, I pride myself on getting the job done, no matter what. Thank God the bag didn't tear open on the sidewalk. That would have been hard to cover up even in the rain. I pushed my finger down on the cold plastic button and heard the locks around me release. Of course, his hand was already pulling at the handle of the locks when they went up, and the damn fool was so nervous that he couldn't wait a second for the doors to unlock. So I pressed the locks again, and heard him pull once more at the handle just as they released and the door remained tightly shut. I peered into the rearview mirror and contemplated driving off. With a heavy sigh, I clicked the lock again, and a second later heard the door behind me open up, letting the sound of rain against wet cement in. Hey, the meager man stumbled out as he worked himself into the back seat. I used to open the trunk for my clients, but quickly discovered that people don't like letting their crimes out of sight. I rolled my eyes and exited the car. Running around the side, I lifted the bag in and pushed the soaked plastic inside. Only out of the rain for a moment, my clothes were already starting to stick to my skin as I slid back into the driver's seat. Thank you so much. He spoke again, his voice now a little more stable. People tend to feel safe if they have someone looking out for them. Even monsters, I suppose. Putting the car in drive, I pulled away from the curb. I could tell when I was lifting the bag into the back of the car that its contents were human. I nearly gave the individual a high five when I pushed into the car, like I was congratulating it on passing. We drove for a moment in silence. I find it's better if I take the client somewhere of my choosing. If I let them pick, just knowing where you hit the body can really weigh something fierce on you, but if I pick, they can earnestly say they have no idea where the body was. So busy night? The thin boy's voice trickled from the back seat. I couldn't believe this kid had a lifeless body next to him and was talking to me like I was some cashier. It's best if we don't talk, I mumbled out. Most of the time my jobs are silent. Only the deeply disturbed ever want to really talk with me, but they never want to hear me talk back, they just kind of want to hear themselves. Right, sorry, he responded, swallowing his words as he did. I didn't mean it. It just kind of happened, he continued. I lightly snapped my head back, banging on the headrest. Of course you didn't mean it. Of course, it isn't your fault. Woe is you, but who am I to judge? Looking in the mirror, I could see the young man staring at the garbage bag. She'll be awake soon, so anywhere is fine. The kid didn't even have the decency to finish the job. Well, it wouldn't be the first time, and sometimes the final blow is just part of the job. I drove until there weren't any cars in sight and pulled the car up on a side road, riding along the barren land until I could no longer see the strip of road behind us. Shovel's in the trunk. Be quick, I sputtered out, turning the engine off to kill the lights and noise. The kid nodded and exited the car, dragging the lump of a body behind him. There was an audible thud as the black bag smacked against the wet dirt. I watched as, under the moonlight, the client dug the shovel into the ground, his arms shaking with each impact. When he brought the shovel up, there was barely any dirt on it. Gripping the steering wheel tight, I shook my body back and forth, the car rocking ever so slightly with me. Pushing the door open, I once again was wrapped in the chill blanket of raindrops. Walking over to the kid, I pulled the shovel from his hand and began to dig for him. Sometimes you really gotta work with that tip. Shovel met dirt, stabbing in. Burying people was always such a pain when it was raining, but, well, you gotta do the work. Eventually the hole was deep enough and I gestured to the client. He put his foot on the bag and kicked it into the pit. I remembered him mentioning that the woman was still alive, so I pulled my handgun from my waist and aimed it into the grave. "Excuse me." The boy's voice rose over the pattering rain. "Just put the dirt back in, please," he demanded. His voice was noticeably solid and stern. Nothing like the shaky whimper he had offered me when he first got in my car. That's when the moonlight offered me a genuine glimpse into his eyes. Damn kid wasn't scared at all. He was playing a game. His body would snap in a stiff enough breeze, but there was a heavy monster behind those eyes. But hell, I don't ask questions. So I pushed the dirt back in and made the makeshift grave look like there wasn't anything disturbing there at all. Silently we returned to the car and took off, making sure to take a different route on the way back to where I picked him up from. He didn't even move an inch. I kept my eye on him the whole time, and not once did he shift position. What a genuine creep. Pulling up to his home, he finally snapped back to life. Opening the door, he stopped for a moment before turning his face to me. "See you soon." He smiled, and good God, what a complex little fellow this must have been. He exited the car and walked through the pouring rain until disappearing back into his home, and that was it. That's how it always ends. There's never a climax because I do my job and nothing more. After absent-mindedly mumbling to myself, "I hate the rain," I took off to do my next job, hoping it would be a simpler one, but even if it wasn't, I'd do the job. I always do the job. So, if that darkness ever consumes you, if those demons inside you win, or hell, if you're an actual demon your damn self, search for me, and you'll find me. I'll help you hide that darkness so it can continue to grow, rain or shine. Preferably shine.